Okay, guys, I said that I was going to make this channel more like like a blog about really my life and what is really going on. Well, something that I'm going to be sharing with you guys on September 30th, I had surgery. And if I'm correct, I count the days. And I think I think Tuesday is going to be week 5. Let me just make sure because I have it on my little calendar here. Yep, this Tuesday is going to be week 5 because I had it on a Tuesday. And they want me to kind of take it easy for 8 weeks, right? Did she say 8? At first, she said 6 weeks, and then they went from 8 to 6. So initially, I had been working out, but they wanted me to take it easy. But I'm going back tomorrow to work out. They just told me I cannot lift more than 15. She said 20. So I said, I'm just going to keep it at 15. But let me tell y'all what I had done. October 30th, I had the gastric sleeve. And I want to tell y'all about my experience. Now, some of y'all probably don't know what the gastric sleeve is, which is understandable. Let y'all watch this video and hopefully this will answer most of your questions. But what I'm going to do is tell y'all about my experience.
Okay. We have to look at some questions. First question, and I might need a vocabulary lesson on this. Thoughts on bariatric surgery, and which one do you think is safest and most effective?
And this was a great question I got to my Instagram about surgery for morbid obesity. So this is a whole field in surgery, bariatric surgery, medical and surgical treatments for weight loss, really reserved for the top of that triangle for people who need to lose more than 100 pounds of weight to really protect their lives and increase their health. The two most common ones called sleeve gastrectomy, where basically the size of the stomach is reduced by about 80%, or something called a gastric bypass. Both are the gold standard in prolonged, permanent, sustained weight loss and improvement in diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, sleep apnea that occurs actually instantaneously after the surgery that have nothing to do with the weight coming off. It affects your hormones, your metabolism. So if you're in that category, 100 pounds or more, talk to a bariatric surgeon. It can truly be life-saving. And by the way, it is not the easy way out. People think that that's the quick fix. Plenty of hard work to be done.
Dr. Ashton, thank you. As always, folks, keep your questions coming to Dr.
I'm sorry, y'all. I was on mute. So that was just a quick little video that I wanted you all to see on what the gastric sleeve is. Is geared toward, exactly what she said. You can't be like 30 pounds overweight or 40 pounds. With my height, I literally, because I'm only 5'2", I can be like 100 and I think they said like 15. I would never be that. Like I don't want to be that. When I was like 115, I was 22, I believe, 22. So I don't want to be that. I do not want to be that, but I felt like my I shouldn't even say my kids. I have adult children and they are grown now and I feel like as a working person and doing too much, I felt like I had just ate too much of the wrong food. Let's just call it what it is. So I decided to do this and I thought long and hard about it. So it wasn't something that I did overnight. I tried that what is that? GLP-1s or whatever that is that everybody is taking. I tried that. It worked. I'm not going to say it didn't, but I'm going to be honest. I got a little bit nervous with all of the stuff that was happening and people that was having issues with their stomach. So I didn't really take it long because I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable with that at all, just at all. So I had started this journey maybe about 2 years ago, but I started with another doctor. The reason why I did not go through with that particular doctor, I was all ready for surgery and everything, but I'm old school. I don't want nobody performing any surgeries of my body and it's not in the hospital. So I felt totally uncomfortable. In Georgia, a lot of times they'll perform surgery in like an outpatient clinic sort of a thing. I just didn't feel comfortable because my experience with these type of procedures, it just felt like the first doctor was skipping a lot of stuff, and just like Atlanta and pretty much everybody in Atlanta trying to get to the money. So I ended up leaving this doctor and I went over to Emory. And when I tell you, the gold standard, they gave me everything that I wanted. I'm glad that I waited. And let's just jump into something else that I want to share with you all, because I'm glad that I waited, and I'm very glad that I choose Emory to actually, do my procedure. And I'm going to get into, some of the things that occurred during my procedure, how much weight I've lost. I'm going to get into all of that. But what I wanted to do was share, some information about what the gastric sleeve is. So let's get into this is going to provide you guys a little bit more information on what the gastric sleeve is. Okay, so just give me a moment here.
Restriction. The laparoscopic sleeve gastrectomy is a wonderful operation in the sense that it makes your stomach into a tube. I tell people that your stomach can typically be the size of a football, but we make it into a slender tube that's roughly the configuration of a foot-long hot dog. The idea of it is that it decreases the amount of food that you can take at one sitting. And we're finding that a lot of people with diabetes, that their diabetes are reversing very soon after a sleeve gastrectomy is performed. In the very first year, many patients are losing the same amount of weight as a gastric bypass operation, somewhere between 60 and 80% of their excess body weight. This is very impressive for an operation without a malabsorptive component. Some people choose the sleeve gastrectomy because there's no rearrangement of the intestinal tract, and all it does is really narrowing the capacity for you to take food. One of the fears about bariatric surgery is your likelihood of dying or having complications from it. The National Institutes of Health and the New England Journal of Medicine have done studies to show that the risks of bariatric surgery is no higher than a gallbladder operation or a major hip replacement. The risks have gone down really for three main reasons. Number one, the advent of laparoscopy and advanced techniques that's applied virtually to all bariatric operations. Two, surgeons are now credentialed and they have a lot of experience managing patients and taking care of them after the operations. The third reason for the improved outcomes is the rigorous patient selection standards that we apply at Emory Bariatrics that has decreased our complication rates and mortality rates by more than half than what is commonly reported. You will get more information on each of these procedures in detail from our web-based educational program. We at Emory Bariatrics want to partner with you and answer your
Okay, guys, so that is where I had my surgery at Emory Bariatrics. And when I tell you again, it was the gold standard. It was everything that I knew that I was missing in that first doctor. For one, I had to spend the night. And when I tell y'all, I complained and I complained, but they had to do what they have, what they have to do. Once you get the surgery, they want to make sure you can take stuff down. And in all honesty, you're on a liquid diet, but they want to make sure, you can swallow all of these things. But let me just tell y'all about my experience. I'm going to share with you all who my doctor was, and I'm going to share with y'all how we actually met, because my doctor was Dr. Scott Steinberg. And let me kind of explain to y'all how it went. I did not start the procedure with Dr. Steinberg. I actually started with another doctor. But when they called me to schedule the surgery, I was told that I would have to do a two-part process. And right away, I start having a fit because I'm like, listen, I had planned this out. Y'all want me to have surgery twice? Get the entire hell off my phone. I'm just not going to be able to do this because it's beginning to be too much. Now, although the process had went relatively good, back some years ago, I had gotten a lap band. What I learned with the lap band is that For some reason, my body rejected it a lot and it just did not work for me to the point that I just stopped going back getting it filled. Now, if you guys know anything about the lap band, it is something that they put on your stomach and then they insert fluid in it to make it tighter. That shit didn't work for me. In fact, I was always sick and always throwing up. So at some point, I just gave up on it. But in order to get the gastric sleeve, guess what they needed to do? Remove the lap band, which I knew this. But what I didn't know is that it was going to be, I knew it would be a two-part procedure, but I thought she was going to take the lap band off and then do my procedure. I didn't know it was going to require me to do two processes because at that point, I don't want to do it. So I spoke to the lady at Emory who does a lot of the overseeing of the paperwork. And I said, listen, I've done all of this work for absolutely nothing. I said, this is what I was afraid of. I said, but I guess it just wasn't meant to be because at this point, at my age, I know when to leave well enough alone. I said, it ain't working. So I said, the first doctor didn't work because I just didn't feel comfortable allowing that doctor to do nothing to me, considering that that doctor did not utilize the hospital and just wanted to do everything in his clinic. I just didn't feel comfortable. Then I get with another doctor, and then I find out at the last minute that she wants to take my band off, wait for 3 months and come back and have the surgery. I'm like, girl, hell to the no. So I spoke to the lady at, her name is Jackie at Emory and explained to her, she says, let me speak to another doctor and find out if this is something that is necessary that you do the two-part process, or is this something specific to that doctor? At this point, I said, I'm just going to keep working out. I'm not going to be able to get this because at this point, I'm over it. So Jackie calls me back and she says, I set you up an appointment to go meet with Dr. Steinberg. Dr. Steinberg said that it does not have to be done in two processes. It is more so the doctor's preference. Great. So I go meet with Dr. Steinberg. He looked at all of my records and everything. And he said, based on what he saw, he did not think that it needed to be a two-part process. He said, but I'm going to tell you this. Once I get down there and start doing the surgery, if I feel that I'm just going to take the band off and you have to come back, he said, that's what I'm going to do. He said, because based on what I see, I think that everything is okay. But, if we get in surgery and, something else says, hey, it is looking a little different, because keep in mind, I had the band and he had to remove that. So what he was saying is he didn't see anything specifically wrong with the band that would make him want to do it in a two-part process. So what I learned is the reason why they want to do it in a two-part process, because sometimes once they remove the band, they want that area to heal. But what I was told by Dr. Steinberg is he did not see anything wrong with the band that would require that. And he said he felt like the previous doctor, that was just the doctor's preference. Great. So let me tell y'all about my experience. I arrived at surgery, guys, at about, I want to say 5:30 a.m. or 5:45. So I was supposed to be there at 6 o'clock a.m. So I got at surgery. All I remember is getting there, and I remember it kind of went fast. When I got back there, obviously I had to take my clothes off. They gave me whatever to put on. The night before, I had to put this liquid all over my body and do a bunch of weird stuff that they want to make sure my body is clean. When I got there, they gave me these things that they wanted me to wash all over my body. They want to make sure you don't have any germs because, you're finna have surgery. I remember going in and then I'm speaking to the anesthesiologist, just basically just talking about, different things. Keep in mind, I had been preparing for this. So this is not like I just woke up and came to surgery. I had already met with the anesthesiologist a couple of weeks earlier. So this is something that had already been planned. Okay. I don't want y'all to think I just showed up and had surgery. So Dr. Steinberg gets there at about 6:30 or something. I don't know. Keep in mind, I believe my surgery was scheduled for 8. You know, you're there 2 hours early. Obviously, at some point, they do a what is that thing called? Something where they look in your stomach, because shit, I couldn't eat for 2 days. So, you know, and they tell you if you eat, we canceling because you can't have anything in your stomach. So I was hungry as hell. Okay. At some point I was not even hungry anymore because, you know, I guess your body get immune to not eating, right? So all I remember, when y'all see those movies where the operating room be bright, that is for real. So they took me into the operating room, and I remember the person saying, "We just gonna give you something to make you a little comfortable." Now I didn't know. Well, I knew I was gonna get, you know, the whatever that is to put you to sleep. But when I tell you that's the last thing I heard, that was the last thing I heard. So when I woke up, I was in the recovery room. Woke up in the recovery room, and you know, recovery room at Emory, I was actually stuck in the recovery room because they had so many people there that they didn't have a bed for me. So I literally was in the recovery room for a few hours. Normally, I guess you have your surgery, you go there, and then you go right up to your room, but mine was a little bit longer because they were packed at Emory. So I stayed down there, and when I tell you guys, right when I got in the recovery room, they woke me up. And when I tell you, within an hour, I was up walking. Like, I was up walking, okay? Because what the doctor did tell me is, he said, what you want to do, if you can, is you want to get up and walk. And I had no problems getting up walking. So I was like, dang, you know, I thought that I was going to be so messed up for weeks. The same day of my surgery, I was walking within a few hours. So I would say within maybe 3 hours, they, you know, took me to my room. At this point, I know that I have to spend a night, right? So, you know, I got to my room later on that day. I got up and I walked again, because what I wanted to do is make sure I wasn't going to have any blood clots or anything like that. And I had heard these horrible stories, right? And I wanted to make sure that I just didn't sit in the bed and not get up and move. So I was moving, and I felt fine. At this point, I'm not even hungry. If you guys, you know, watch the video, you know that the gastric sleeve is them taking out 80% of your stomach, which leaves you a little bit of stomach. So ironically, you drinking something, you get full. You know, you get full. So I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. So I don't leave home until, I'm sorry, I don't leave the hospital until the next day, but I am on a strict diet, because when you just have surgery, they want you on a liquid diet, and then you progress to, you know, soft this and that. So ultimately, my surgery was September the 30th. And we are what, November 2nd, roughly 30 days. I've lost about 15 pounds. Um, I've lost about 15 pounds. And I say that, I mean, it could be 17 or 18. I think it's probably at 20, but you know, when you eat and you go on the scale, you'll look 3 pounds more. So I would say between 15 and 20 pounds is what I've lost the first month. Now, in terms of the process, if I'm correct, I think I have 4 cuts. Now, with the gastric sleeve, as with the gastric bypass, they do cut your stomach. So, what I want people to understand is, if this is something that you're looking to do, you need to know how your skin heals. Some people have keloid skin. I don't have that. In fact, maybe I can show y'all in another video. You can hardly see my cuts because they have healed really well. So, depending on how your skin heals, you know, you want to know that. But I can say this: Dr. Steinberg was absolutely great. The process that I did with him was robotic. So I don't know, y'all. Robotic, I will sleep. I can't tell you what it means, but I believe he used, like, you know, robotics or whatever. But it went really good for me in terms of, you know, throwing up. I mean, I can tell you guys this, and one of the other doctors that he works with did share this with me. When you have this surgery, your body change. Sometimes things that you used to like, you just don't like anymore. Now, I will give you an example of things that you can never eat again. One being soda. You cannot ever drink soda. What will happen if you drink soda? Just don't drink it. But okay, here's one thing that I will tell you. Your stomach has been cut. So now you have a whole new stomach. I mean, it's your stomach, but they cut it in half. You do understand that the more you eat, your stomach stretches. Well, if you drink soda, what you think gonna happen? Your soda. Your stomach is gonna stretch. So don't drink it. You don't want to drink soda. In terms, how has my taste buds changed? I used to really love steak. I tried to eat some roast, and when I tell you I wanted to throw up, I didn't, but I kind of didn't. It didn't sit right with my stomach. So, what the other doctor did tell me that works with Dr. Steinberg is within the first 30 days, you'll start to know, foods that you just probably won't be able to eat either never or just not right now. And mine is definitely beef. When I ate it, like I said, it just didn't, I couldn't, it wasn't right. Okay. And I used to love steak. But like I said, it has, worked. I have not been sick again. I have had an issue with it was a slight issue with what am I trying to say, with acid reflux, and I think it was because I wasn't maybe. So with this surgery, what I can tell you guys is the amount of food that you can eat at one time is greatly reduced. Now, let's say I was eating a sandwich where I may eat a whole sandwich. I'm gonna eat a half of one. But even with the half a sandwich, it's gonna take me probably about 4 hours to eat it, if that makes sense. So that is how this surgery is. You can eat, you just can't eat it all in one sitting. Like you may have been able to sit down and eat a T-bone steak. You ain't gonna be able to eat that. And if you did eat it, you would probably eat it over the course of a day, little piece here, a little piece there. So that is what I wanted to tell y'all. What I said, what I was going to do with this channel is pretty much just make it a blog. Like I had said before, I had been really, reposting things from my other channel over here. And I said, I'm just going to stop doing that and just pretty much just post, about my life. So if you guys are interested, in the gastric sleeve, please follow my journey. Like I said, I had a great experience at Emory Hospital. I do feel like that if this is something that you guys are looking to do, I would say definitely get with an established hospital, because like I spoke on my first doctor that I was going to go to, I didn't feel like, if I wanted to go through this procedure, I wanted to, actually be able to go somewhere where there was a dietitian, where there were like, different support groups and things like that. And I just didn't feel like I had it over there. Keep in mind, the doctor was a smaller doctor's office. He performed these surgeries, honey, downstairs. And I just didn't feel like it was something that I wanted to do. So again, if it's something that y'all interested in doing, if you're in the Georgia area, I would definitely recommend Emory. I think the program was great. It wasn't something where I just walked in and was able to have it done. I had several different things that I needed to do. But what I did is I just kind of made those things priority and just worked my way through the list. Now let's talk about price, okay? Let's get into that. I'm going to get into my portal, which it seems like it logged me out. I would say if this is something that you are definitely interested in doing, the first thing that I did, now I want y'all to notice, this is not something that you want to just do, without considering everything. If this is something that you are looking to do and you have insurance, the first thing you want to do is see what your insurance pays, what your deductible is going to be. And I'm going to tell you this, if you go through the Emory program, that's one of the first things they're going to have you to do. You're going to have to get with your insurance company and find out what they cover. Now, if this is something that you are interested in doing and you have the opportunity with your employer to switch insurances, because y'all know we coming up on a new year, this is open enrollment, this may be something that you want to plan for. With me, like I said, I had planned it. I had picked my insurance specifically for this. And I'm going to give you a breakdown of what the charges look like. Now, I have 3 separate charges, and I'm going to break them on down for you. My surgery, it says surgery at Emory Decatur Hospital. I was billed $402. My insurance paid $368.33. Okay. Now that was one bill. Keep in mind, I got another bill. Now, the next one says surgery at Emory Hospital. Now, this was for the full, I'm going to say this was for the full surgery, however they break that down. And let me just tell y'all how much that was. I need a drum roll, honey. The surgery was billed at $60,000. That's 60,827.37. Okay. That is how much was billed to me. My insurance paid $59,076.84. Now y'all understand why I picked that insurance, because they pretty much paid everything but $1,750.53. And if I'm correct, I think 500 of that was my copay, and the rest was pretty much what they just didn't cover, if I'm saying it right. Yes, 500 was actually my copay, so I was right. And if we broke that down, it just breaks down into various different charges, but the total was 59. Well, I'm sorry, I'm giving you guys 3 separate amounts. One of my bills was $402. The next one was $60,827.37, of which $59,076.84 was covered by the insurance, left me with a bill of $1,750.53. Now, for my other bill, and this was billed to me September 23rd. Now, September 23rd, remember I told y'all my surgery was on the 30th. I had to go to Emory to prepare. I had to meet with the anesthesiologist and things like that. Now, for that, they billed $5,710. Of that, Emory paid of that, my insurance paid $5,510, which left me $200. That's how much I owe. So total, out of everything that I just added up and gave to y'all, I owe $1,984.20. And let me kind of add it up, because it was a bunch of different charges. And when I look at this, it looks like they give it to me in different amounts. Like it's just not one bill. So let me kind of add it all together, because I never added it up, to be honest with y'all. So let me see what the total charges was, because like I said, once you get your insurance, if this is something that you're interested in doing, make sure you get the insurance that's going to cover this. Because like I told y'all, when I got my insurance, when I picked the insurance, I picked it specifically for this procedure, because this is something that I wanted to get done. So the total charges to my insurance was $66,537.37. Now, I just gave it to y'all in different amounts, and it's because that's how it appears on the billing. Obviously, they bill you for different things, but that was the total. And out of that $66,537.37, I had to pay $1,984.20. Honey, I ain't paid it yet, because I still got some time. They said I have 90 days. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I was saying, y'all, I just want to be healthy. I'm 50 years old and I just needed some help with getting my um getting things, in perspective. I'm 50. I don't have any grandchildren. I have a long way to go. And I think this was something that I needed. And to be honest, I am so thankful for Emory Hospital and Dr. Steinberg. I didn't think it was going to go well. I hope that everything will go good, but I don't feel like I had surgery. I don't feel like anything happened. The only thing that has changed is obviously I get full extremely fast. That is the only thing that has changed. Like I said, I had mentioned to you guys, when you do have that surgery, they do cut you in your stomach area. Everybody's healing process is going to be different. The way my skin set up is, I mean, I heal very quickly, so maybe sometime I can show you guys and kind of show y'all. But it's healing really, really well. And for some of the areas I can really, really hardly see where, where I was cut, because obviously, with this procedure, you have to be cut. So make sure y'all follow me over here. Like I said, on this channel, I will get more into these sorts of things and kind of talk about, the things that I'm, dealing with in my life. And y'all just follow my journey with the weight loss. Like I said, with those videos, I think I'll probably talk about that monthly, because I'm really not weighing myself every day. And sometimes I am, but y'all know how weight can be. It can, be up or down, but ultimately I am definitely losing weight. If I were to, stand on the scale in the morning, if in the morning I'm 20 pounds lighter, but then y'all know over the day you're eating and then you go back up. But once I go to sleep and wake up, it's always, 20 pounds. I forgot about that. Well, I will see you guys. Make sure you like, share the video. If you guys have not subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe at LakeyshakeyshaTV. Now, again, if you guys are on my news channel, that's at Lakeysha Keysha. So we're not going to be talking about the same stuff. And I'll catch y'all in another video.